So hello and welcome along to another edition of Isolation Interviews for Hospital Radio and for my YouTube channel. And I'm very excited to be joined by my special guest today, Balvinder Sopal. Thank you for joining me.
Well, thank you for having me on.
Now, obviously, the last year has been completely mad, bonkers. For you, I imagine in the early stages of lockdown last year, back in March, April, even EastEnders had to shut down. So what was it like for you having to just completely stop working?
Yeah. Well, I think it's really interesting because as actors, in the sort of real world, which is our acting world, it's feast or famine, isn't it? So you're sort of used to having long bouts of not doing anything, and you sort of find ways of making yourself creative. So I was reading a lot, I was writing a lot, I was Zooming a lot, which I'm sure a lot of other people were doing as well, and just yeah, just trying to keep sort of creative really and keep my mind going, and going for a lot more walks and things like that. So it wasn't a problem. And I think because I knew that somewhere along the line we were going to open up again, there wasn't the feeling of where's my next wage coming from, you know. So yeah, but then it did get to a point where I was like, okay, now I'm getting a little bit bored because there's only so many books I can read. And I did this thing which was really interesting actually, called 21 Days of Abundance. And it's a Deepak Chopra meditation, which kept me going for 21 days, which was lovely. And at the time I was growing some jasmine. Well, this was year 3 of it growing, and it bloomed last year. So I was like, oh, I'm glad I was available to, you know, or around to see that happen. Yeah, I really loved it as well. I used to go out in the morning, you know, when the sun was up, and just sort of sit with a cup of tea and do my writing and do this meditation, because you had to keep a journal for the meditation, and just talk to the jasmine. I mean, it sounds bonkers, but it was absolutely wonderful.
I mean, that's the thing, is you have to look after your mental health as well, which is so
Yeah.
important. So, I mean, I imagine being able to get out, do these things and still kind of keep yourself busy, it's a godsend.
Yeah, absolutely. And you're right. Mental health is, because I think also this industry can, well, not only this industry, you know, when you're working 9 to 5 and then you've got to come home and look after the kids, and or if you're looking after parents, or, you know, there's lots of other stuff happening. And I think we're in a sort of time where people, well, not so much now, but we have been sort of on the treadmill, haven't we? We've been running towards something, and we're not quite sure what that thing is, but we know we've just got to keep going. And so I think, in a way, when lockdown happened the first time round, it was a really good time to just stop and assess and get in touch with who you were, and, you know, and family members, and just, I mean, there was a balance, because I did learn that I couldn't actually live at home like 24/7, and I did need to get out. You know, otherwise we'd kill each other. But we're getting better at managing our relationships with each other at home as well now because of that. So yeah, I think there was a whole load of stuff going on, and yeah, mental health is very important. So we must always be on check with that.
And I think the other thing as well is it has kind of brought everyone closer together. I mean, you know, people have been talking more with, you know, strangers or family members or
Yeah.
friends. So do you think it's kind of made you kind of, you know, sort of speak to people more, or do you think you've always been quite sort of a
I think I've
talkative person?
always, yeah, I think I've always, I'd speak to the lady on the bus, you know, if she'd give me the chance. But yeah, no, I think people have opened up a little bit more, because we're hungry for that connection, aren't we? Because we're not getting it. It's so funny, isn't it? When we've got it, we don't want it, and then when we don't have it, we're sort of, we're hungering for it. Yeah, I think people are much more, they're craving a lot more company, they're craving a lot more companionship, they're craving a lot more connection. And so we are getting in touch with people from India, you know, our cousins who we wouldn't speak on a regular basis. They're sending good morning messages like every morning, and, you know, 5-6 times a day. How you doing? What you up to? What's going on? You know, so we've connected. I mean, the internet made us sort of smaller as a global community anyway, but I think this is quite great as well. And also, funnily enough, we've been available to watch sort of events unfold around the world, which I don't think has ever happened, you know. Well, certainly not to the scale that it's happened over the last year. We've all been sort of available to tune into it, And, you know, some people may have been consumed by it, and you know, mental health comes in again and you have to sort of step away from it. I know I did. But it was just really fascinating that we were all experiencing something at the same time. And obviously our reactions and our feelings were different to it, but that we were all there. Much like watching a theatre piece, you know, when you go and watch a show, like your heart beats at the same time as everybody else in the audience and you're connected on some level. So that was quite profound in a way.
And I imagine as well.
Sorry, I'm like, this is a bit much for the morning, isn't it?
I was just going to say that obviously the thing, you know, the thing out there is, you know, the social medias, the Twitters, the Facebooks and all that. For you, did you find that, obviously, because it's a great way for fans to get in contact with you, but sometimes it can be a bit of a double-edged sword. So what's your sort of, you know, opinion or been of, you know, things like Twitter?
Yeah, I've sort of had a love-hate relationship with it over the last year. I thought I came off Facebook a while ago because I thought that was a very toxic environment, and anybody can jump on and just start, you know, sort of spouting abuse about anything. And I'm just like, oh. And so I came off Facebook, and that wasn't a tragic loss. And then Peter Beale happened on EastEnders. And that was like, oh my God. And I don't think I was prepared for the reaction, or there was a part of me that was, but not to the extent that it had sort of taken effect. And I was reading some really horrible messages, and I understand, you know, it was about the character or whatever, but then I was like, wow, we really have an opinion on, you know, a lot of things, like older women and younger men, and the fact that it was Suki who's got 4 kids and she shouldn't be doing this. And, you know, we're very opinionated about things, and I'm not, you know, fine, everybody has morals and all that kind of, that's brilliant. And we should, but to the point where it was like, oh my God, this is really sickening. Oh my God, get a grip. Oh God, you make me ill. And I was like, I'm only the actor. I'm not.
At the end of the day, people forget that you're, you know, an actor playing a character. I think sometimes people, because it's obviously a program that's in everyone's lives 4 times a week. I think sometimes people maybe forget that it's a program. It's, you know, you're actors. It's not actually you.
I tell you what, Matthew, I had some really dodgy messages on Instagram, and I just thought, where do you get off being so rude? You know, where do you get off being so, like, so forthright about that comment, you know? And I got to a point where I was like, right, I'm just gonna get some PR people involved and just say, you carry on like this and we are going to report the account and out you. So, you know, remember that this is an actor playing the character of Suki Panesar, not the character. I was just like, and men as well. I'm like, wow. I was just astounded. And so there was a part of me that came off Twitter for a bit. I've removed it off my phone anyway, because I'm like, I don't want to be constantly on it. Because also there was a time I was like, what's going on? What's been said? And, you know, and of course, naturally, that's a natural thing, because you want to know how your character's going down, you know. So it's like you want it all, but then you don't want the bad stuff, you know. So there is a balance to be had, as with anything in life. And I just thought, well, if I take it off my phone, then I don't have easy access to it. And the only way I can get to it is if I get on the laptop to do some actual work. But funnily enough, with Instagram, I did take Instagram off as well. But then I wanted to post a picture, because I go for lovely walks on, like, at 6 o'clock in the morning around Walford, because I get there really early, and I'm like, oh, I'll just snap a picture of this, and this looks really nice. And I wanted to put a picture up, and I couldn't do it on I couldn't do it on the laptop, and I was like, you cheeky git. So I had to download it onto my phone. I was like, oh, they've got me again. But yeah, so I sort of stepped away from it, and I still have I don't have it on my phone. I don't have Twitter on my phone. So yeah, I think you've got to be really careful. And again, mental health, you know, that whole thing of sort of what's important, you know, is it important to listen to, you know, next man spouting hate about a character, or is it important to connect with your family who are saying you're doing a brilliant job and we really support you, and you carry on and don't listen to anybody else. So
that's the thing with social media, is you'll get 100 messages of, oh, I love your work, blah, blah,
I know,
blah. And then you always see the one that's the horrible one, the one that will stand out.
Yeah, and that is really sad. And I'm sorry for all the fans who do really like Suki Panesar or love to hate her or whatever it is that you have, you know, but it's positive. I must say that they are really, really sort of, they're tremendous and they do lift you up. But you're right, it just takes one person to go, ugh, and you're like, Me? Why? And I guess that's my thing as well, is like I have to step away from the character and know that they're not necessarily saying it about me, they are saying it about the character. But the ones that are directly towards you, then that's a bit, that's a bit much. But yeah, you're right. No, the fans are wonderful, really.
Now, obviously, when filming went back to I think it was it? I'm trying to remember now. Was it June or July?
July, yeah. I think
So, what was it
July.
like getting back to work, but kind of like a different kind of work? Because obviously, everything had to change, I imagine, for for COVID. So, what was it like getting back to work in the new norm?
Yeah, well, the norm had already changed for me when I joined EastEnders, you see, because like I said, Feast or Famine, I come from a theatre background, and I've done lots of radio, so it was never, and I've done TV before, but I hadn't sort of, not on a regular basis, so I'm learning a character from literally the inside out, every mechanism of this person, and it was very quick when we were on first, like 3 different cameras on you, and before you've understood what's happened in a scene, it's done, and you're like, what? So just as I was getting used to going, right, I've really got to be on my game, I've really got to know what's going on, it all changed again, and I was like, okay, so but we're adaptable creatures, actors are incredibly adaptable, and actually in the initial stages of COVID filming, I really liked it, because we really slowed down. And slowing down meant that I, as an actor, could understand what was going on with my character, if I didn't know before, what was happening in the scene, and and also understand the mechanics of how it all works on the floor, with the first assistant director, with the director, with the seconds, with the crew members, with the props guys, everybody, and you sort of go, oh, okay, and you've just got the time to sort of take it all in. And I really liked that. And excuse me, it is very slow still. And we are missing the intimacy, so the scenes where you are wanting to be close, wanting to whisper, or wanting to hold someone's hand, because touch is a huge thing, isn't it? I remember I was watching, what was it? I can't remember watching. Oh, when Mick was talking to Linda about what had happened with the whole Katie thing. And they hugged, for the first, and I was like, oh, it sort of felt so wrong, but also felt so right, because I was like, oh my God, that's what we are craving. That's what we need. It's what we want, because that's how we're built. We're creatures of like tactile comfort and sort of just wanting to, yeah. So we miss that a little bit, and being able to get close. But I think, with the trickery in the way that, EastEnders the production team have managed to put together such a brilliant programme, or sort of ways of working, we're kind of achieving some level of intimacy. So, yeah.
Now, obviously, the Panesars have, since they've arrived on the show, they've hit the ground running. They've been a fantastic addition to the show. For you, how did the role of Suki first come about?
How did it come about? Okay, so it's funny, because I saw Jazz Diol on the telly, and Jazz and I have worked together before, and I hadn't watched EastEnders for a while, and I'd heard they'd had a new Asian family, and then I saw the Asian family, and I was like, oh, Jazz Diol, and I was like, good for him, brilliant. And I watched a couple of scenes, and I was like, oh, they're doing all right, that's quite nice. But I never thought that it would come my way. There was a part of me that went, oh, why wasn't I asked? And then I was like, well, we don't know what's happening, and I was like, oh, well, it doesn't matter about. And at the time I was doing My Beautiful Laundrette with Lester Curve. And so I get the call in Cheltenham. My agent calls me, she's like, oh, Bal, regular for EastEnders. And I was like, oh my God, like, what is it? And she's, oh, she's manipulative, she's cunning, she's, she knows her mind, she's very clever. She's a real sort of, force to be reckoned with. And I thought, oh God, this is brilliant. Speaks with her own accent. I went, yes, brilliant, because I'm sick of having to put these Asian accents on that, nobody speaks like that in this country, really. I mean, they do, but like, where's our generation of people? My cousins who are in their 50s don't speak with Asian accents. They're born and raised in this country. So I was like, brilliant, that's a plus for me. And she was a woman that had agency. She wasn't being oppressed, in a way she was oppressing, which, interesting. And I just thought, great, okay, let me hear it. So I read the first bit and I thought, oh God, I'm bloody loving this character. She's really exciting. She's, you know, she's Machiavellian and she's scheming. Love it, brilliant. Let's do this. I haven't played a character like this. And I get to the bottom and it says she has 4 children. The eldest is 30. And I was like, forget that. No, thanks. And I said to, you know, I don't want to do it. So she said, what's your problem, Bal? And I said, listen, if she was a mother and her eldest was 20 even, I'd say I'd buy it. Like, but there's only, you know, there's only something like 8 or 9 years between Jazz and I. Like, that's no. And Una was like, yeah, I do think, Una's my agent. She said, I know what you're saying about the age, Bal. She said, I did think that myself. She said, but look, new Asian family on the square, they're going to be looking for, you know, cousins, sisters, partners, give it a go. And I sort of read it and I was like, no, I don't want to. I don't want to play a mum, and I don't want to play a mum whose eldest is 40. And I said, why can't I just be like this sexy, you know, kind of mid to late, you know, 30s kind of feisty, power hungry woman? I'd have to be a mum. And she went, just read the bloody part and do a good audition. So I was like, right, fine. And they sent, so that was on a Thursday, and they sent the sides through on the Friday. So we had a show Thursday night, we had a show Friday, we had 2 shows on the Saturday. Sunday was a travel day. They wanted it in by Monday. Monday we were traveling to Leeds. I was like, when are we going to get a chance to do this? Like, genuinely, where do you think we get? And they sent, like, you know, 2 massive monologues. And it's not, you can't just say the lines, you know, you've got to find motivation. You want to do the best and blah, blah, blah. And I was like, oh, this is just difficult. Just cursing myself, cursing everybody around me. And then I was meeting a friend in London, a very wonderful, beautiful friend who helped me with the sides. We met up because I went down to London to meet somebody else. We did the audition in London, and then I travelled back up to Leeds on the Monday. And I mean, we took bloody ages. It was ages, you know? And then I was like, oh, I don't even know if I'm going to get it. Sent them off on the Monday, and they asked to see me that week. No, Friday I get a call saying they want to see me the week after. And I said, I can't, I'm in a show. Literally, it means leaving at the crack of dawn to have a 5-minute audition, to then come back and do a show. And it was a 2-show day. And I was like, and you know, and I'm going to pay like 100 quid to go down just to be told no. I'm like, I'm not doing it, because I already in my heart went, I'm not right for the part. I'm too old, too young. And I was like, no, I'm not doing it. I've got a show. Can you tell them that, you know, maybe on I think Wednesday or something, they wanted to see me, and I said I can come down then because I don't have 2 shows, or something like that. And she said, all right, I'll leave it with me. Anyway, so then she said, all right, they don't want to see you, but you don't need to go down, but we'll do a Skype audition. I said, fine, great, we'll do a Skype audition. I think it was like a screen test or something. But of course, that didn't happen. So what, like, it just didn't happen. I think wires got crossed, and I'm sat there waiting to go, or like, you know, to have this meeting, and it didn't happen. I was like, what? I've got a show to do. You don't think us actors are busy enough? And then Una said, right, John Sen will call you Wednesday morning, or whenever, I can't remember the days exactly. John Sen will call you in the morning and says, all right, fine. And I thought, what I'll do is I'll make sure I'm out of the house and I'm walking down towards the theatre, Leeds Playhouse we were in at the time, and I'll walk along the canal because it's quiet and it means I'll get to work in time and I can have the chat. And of course, John Sen called me right at the time where I reached Leeds train station. And just outside Leeds train station, they're doing loads of, I don't know, they're restoring hotels or something like that. So there were drills going off. There were people shouting at each other. There was like cars honking each other. And I just thought, this is ridiculous. Anyway, I jumped into the Queen's Hotel and had this massive chat with John. And I said, look, I'm really grateful that that you want to see me, and that you liked the audition tapes. But I am concerned about the age, and I'm also concerned that, you know, that we might go down some stereotypical storylines. I don't want to do arranged marriages or anything, you know, forced arranged marriages or religious wars or anything like that. So if we are going to do this, we're going to be a modern British family that is well integrated within its community, still holding on to its culture. We're not losing who we are as Punjabis, as Indians, but I don't want stereotypical storylines, and I want her to be powerful and strong and feisty and sexy. And he went, that's what we want. Thanks, Bal. And I said, so John, if it doesn't go my way because I'm not the right age group, it's grand, I don't mind, thank you. And he was like, yeah, thanks, Bal, see ya. Put the phone down. I was like, started a massive conversation with you. And then they didn't call. And then I was like, why haven't they called? Like, it's so funny, because I didn't want the job to start with. And then it gets to closer to the, decision time. And I'm like, what's going on? Why haven't they called me? And I really wanted it. And then I get the call. And we've done 2 shows. So we've done the first show, I get the call, and my owner's like, so Bal, how was it? Was the show all right? And I was like, so? And she
Get on with it.
Yeah, a bit like my story. And she was like, well, they want you. It's an offer. And I literally screamed the whole house down. And the girls in the dressing room at the time were like, oh my God, I can't believe it. What's happened? We scream, costume comes running in, the lads come in from the other side. What's happened? Kathy Tyson was like, she'll tell you in a minute what she's done. And then, yeah, we were just like in an embrace for like 5 minutes. And that day, Matthew, I told my friend who had auditioned with me, and I was on the phone to him, and I was just crying because we weren't close. I wasn't able to say thank you or anything like that, and I was away from everybody. It's making me feel really teary now, but it was such a big moment. And some people that I'd worked with when I was in Huddersfield as well, they came to see me and they were like, oh, well done on the show. And I said, and I'm, by the way, and I went literally from 0 to 60 seconds laughing like a mad woman to crying, like, it was just unbelievable. So that's how it happened for me. Yeah. And I mean, was like, wow.
She is, like you say, such a powerful character, such a, she knows her own mind, but she can be a bit of a, I won't use the word, but she can be a bit of a nightmare, let's say. And even with her own family, she can be really hard. So it must be quite an interesting character to play.
Yeah, I mean, she's the devil. She is the devil in herself, but I think, with characters like that, there's always something in the background. There's always something that's related, there's always some trauma sitting deep that needs to be excavated, and we are doing that. We're slowly sort of uncovering and unpeeling, we're peeling the sort of layers to Suki. And I guess for me, it was just interesting to play a character that I don't know how this is going to come across really, that was the oppressor. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Because you want to know why people do that. And I think, all my career, I've played women who have played second fiddle to men, who haven't, who never had a voice, who were always oppressed, repressed, and depressed and that's not all Asian women are, who couldn't speak English and they were brought into this. The narrative is boring. It happens, but we need to look at other ways that we exist. And as a woman as well, it's interesting that it's a woman doing the kind of oppressing, and also she's not, there are parents that bring their children up, with an iron rod, because it is about reputation, and it is about making sure that they're on the right path. But just because she thinks that they need to be on the right path, it's not necessarily the right path. We all have different ways of coming to what is right for us. And I just think that, it makes for good drama, doesn't it? When somebody thinks something else and somebody else has an opposite, but that they don't take it lying down, that there is a clash of personalities and strong personalities. But also, she spent her whole life bringing this family up. She's done it on her own. The father's been in prison for some time. You know, and I'm assuming that there wasn't much family support because the father had gone to prison, so people will have an opinion about that, you know. And so I think, you know, she sort of tries to bat off all of that kind of negativity that people throw at other Asian families for how they're brought up. But then she does that to her own kids anyway. Do you know what I mean? So it's very complex. It's not as easy as, oh, she's evil. And she's not. She's genuinely trying to protect her children. But her way of protection is stifling rather than allowing them to grow in a way.
I mean, going forward, I know you can't say too much, but will we see a softer side to Suki, or do you think that the tough exterior will continue?
No, I hope so, because otherwise it's very boring, isn't it? And it's all very one-dimensional, which I'm aware, you know, people have mentioned. But yeah, I think, you know, watch this space, because there are always 2, 3, 4, 5 sides to a person, and we play whichever side we need to get what we want. So just watch out.
Now, I must say, one of my favourite scenes that Suki featured in was the scene with Phil Mitchell, Steve McFadden, when he literally just smashed up the call centre. And for you filming that, I mean, obviously Suki was so tough, and that's where I kind of had a lot of respect for her, that she did not get scared of Phil Mitchell.
Yeah,
but for you filming that must have been a little bit scary, because
oh my God,
Steve just goes mad.
Yeah, well, not that he just goes mad, but that you're acting with Steve McFadden. You're like, this is like the height of soap, like, do you know what I mean? Like acting and characters. I mean, he's iconic. The word is used so much, but in Steve's sense, yes. And I did say to him, I just went up to him, I said, Steve, I said, this is a career high for me. Thank you so much. And you know what? He is so professional. He is so like inspiring, and you and even with Letitia Dean as well, like I watch them and I'm just like, I've grown up watching you, and so to be in the same space as you is just such a privilege and an honor. You know, I'm assuming, like, I mean, it would be like that if I don't know, like maybe my favorite Bollywood actor, you know, who is my favorite Bollywood actor? There's a few people that I like, but who was that? Anyway, that's another conversation. But you know what I mean? Like, it was just really, it was great. And then sort of watching him work it all out. And what I really liked about Steve was the chat before the recording the scene or filming the scene. Because this is the, second time Suki's met Phil. In the soap, if you like, because the first was at Denny's funeral. Although they didn't have much to do, she was in the same space as him, and that was really quite exciting as well. And then this time, and it was lovely. We just had a lovely chat, you know, backstage, talking about cars, because I was in the process of wanting to buy a car, and Steve was advising what sort of car he thinks would be good, and I was like, oh yeah, cool, like, thanks. You know, and it was just, and we were talking about family and stuff like that, and I loved it, which then made it really great to be able to do the scene, because I felt comfortable, and I felt cared for as an actor, you know, and that's really important. I felt like I could trust Steve, and I've not met this person before, you know, I've not had any other dealings with. I've had a couple of chats with Steve in passing, but nothing that was of any profound connection or anything, but you know what I mean? So It was really important, and great that we were able to have that chat, and I felt very comfortable, and I can only hope that I can be an actor like that, where people are like, love working with her, you know, I could trust her. It felt great. So yeah. And of course, again, you know, in terms of Suki, like, what sort of woman does that? She must have sinned some and done some to be able to stand up to somebody like Phil Mitchell and not be scared of getting a battering, you know. So interesting.
Hopefully we'll see more with yourself and Steve, because I think that on-screen sort of pairing there, they are both so strong-willed and so they know what they want in life, and I just think it's I mean, so many people in the past, I mean, I think we haven't really seen many people square up to Phil Mitchell in the past, so the fact that we've now got a character who is prepared to do that, I think exciting things are to come.
Isn't it? I hope so. Let's see what happens. It's all for the taking, isn't it?
Now, I
But
mean, I
yeah.
didn't realize this. You've appeared in some form or another on all five of the big soaps, I believe. Is
Yeah.
that right?
Yeah, apparently somebody was like, oh my God, she's the only actor in the country to, and I was like, really? That's an award. Yeah. In various guises, doctors, lawyers, DCs. Yeah. And as a regular in EastEnders. So hilarious. I think I did, what was it? What is it? Waterloo Road, Emmerdale, Coronation Street, Hollyoaks, and EastEnders. Yeah, I've not done Holby City and I've not done Casualty. Auditioned a couple of times with them for smaller roles, but yeah. What can I say? That's funny.
Now, I just also wanted to say the other thing we should say is a big shout out to all the amazing key workers, NHS staff out there. I mean,
Absolutely.
what's your sort of impression been of the amazing work they've been doing?
They've been fantastic, and I think just it's a tragic situation, and it's sad that it takes something like this for people to realise how important our key workers and the NHS staff are. And it breaks my heart that we won't get too political, but that the government don't and that pay rises have not happened yet, and an actual proper recognition for the hard work that they put in. My mum and dad have both been vaccinated now. Mum got her vaccine yesterday, and I'm like, that is really quick. They've rolled that out really, really quick. And also, I wasn't so well a little while back over Christmas, and I had phone calls from it was COVID. I had it very mild, which is really interesting. I literally on a Saturday night just lost my taste. I was eating gulab jamun, which is like Indian sweets, and I was like, oh God, and I had to have two, and I was like, I can't taste, and they are really sugary and syrupy and like dough balls like are full of sugar and syrup. I was like, okay, I can't taste that, what's going on? And then I couldn't smell. I sprayed my favorite perfume like loads, couldn't smell it, and I thought, great, that's it. Spoke to EastEnders and went, I need to go get a test. Sorry, I'm not going to come into work. That was that. Got the test on the Sunday. So this happens. Got the test on Sunday. Went down, got a test, and they told me on the Tuesday that it was, and I was like, great. So then I isolated for 10 days upstairs, but I was receiving text messages from the NHS and calls. How are you feeling? What are your symptoms? Has anything changed? Do you feel this? Do you feel that? And my symptoms were just that. There were no sweats. There was no achiness. I mean, my ribs were achy, but I don't know if that's because I was laying in bed because I couldn't go anywhere else, so I did a lot of reading and I did a lot of other stuff then, and lines and things. But just the fact that they were in touch was really comforting, so, and it might have only just been a student, but, who they'd employed on top to deal with the pandemic or to deal with the fact that there were people. But I think, that's taking care of people. And it's mental health. It's allowing me to know that there is somebody out there that cares for my well-being, that it's important to them, and they just want me to get better and be able to be my 100% out there. So absolutely, keep fantastic work. Really, absolutely appreciate is not the right word. I mean, and even great. I mean, it goes beyond that. It transcends what the NHS and our key workers have done for us. They've kept this country going. They've kept this country going better than the people that are supposed to, who are getting paid shed loads of money to do the job that our key workers and NHS are doing. So hats off. I bow to you, NHS and key workers.
And anyone who's currently in hospital, obviously not having the best of times at the moment, have you got any messages you'd like to give them?
Keep positive, and look for it's really interesting, if you can and you are able to, just glance up at the sky every now and again, because having a look up there allows you to sort of just opens up your mind, opens up your vista. Be positive, be safe, and know that you're in good hands, and we love you. There's a lot of love for you. Get well soon, and yeah. Take care.
Now, I just want to say it's been an absolute pleasure talking to you. Thank you so much for giving up your time.
Not at all.
Hopefully we'll speak again soon. Of course,
Yeah.
keep safe. And yeah, thank you for joining me.
Thank you, Matthew. I hope I haven't chatted too much rubbish. But yeah, thanks very much for having me on, and keep doing what you're doing as well, because this is also important. So yeah, thank you.